Don, I'm not going to lie, brother. I loved this interview.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Such a good time. Our guest this evening was Alexa Quaranta.
Yeah, but you might know her from the stage as Alexandra Ghoul. If you've seen her dancing on stage in her burlesque shows.
Yeah, we talked with Alexa a lot about her early days going to dance schools and growing up and getting interested in Rocky Horror Shadowcasts and leading towards the burlesque stage. And we talked about everything from self-empowerment to body image. It was a really awesome conversation.
All I know, brother, is that after that conversation, we have to see her on stage. We've got to go to that burlesque show.
Yeah, I think it'll be a real good time.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest,
Alexa Quaranta, also known as
Alexandra Ghoul. Don, we're finally doing this one.
Yes.
It took a while,
It did.
but it was worth the wait.
Of course.
So I would like everyone to meet our good friend. Would you please introduce yourself to the world?
Hi, I'm Alexa Quaranta, or Alexandra Ghoul would be my performer name.
Alexandra Ghoul.
Yes.
Is that something you came up with? Was it given to you?
It was a long process and like a list in my phone and in my journal for a long time of like so many names that were crossed off. But I kind of knew I wanted to be Alexandra because my name is Alexa, and I thought it's Alexa but fancier. And also, Twin Temple, who is a witchy, somewhat satanic doo-wop band, they're my favorite, and their lead singer's name is Alexandra. And I met her, and it was like a really great experience. They brought me up on stage one night at a show, and I was just like, well, now I have to pick the name Alexandra because it also is connected to her. But a last name was hard, and Mike calls me, my boyfriend who owns Underground, calls me Baby Ghoul a lot. So a friend of mine one day who is also a burlesque dancer, I was talking to her, and I was like, I don't know, though. I know I want to be Alexandra something, but I don't know what. And I don't want something too spooky that'll put me in a box, but at the same time, I do want something spooky. And she goes, well, what's his nickname for you? And I said, Baby Ghoul. She goes, well, then be Alexandra Ghoul. There you go. And I was like, damn, you're right. Okay. And I went with that. I was doing Rocky Horror Shadowcasts at Bar XIII in Delaware. I had a few casts under my belt, a few shows. And I settled on that name, and about a month later applied to my first burlesque show. So I kind of had to stick after that.
What kind of band did you say it was?
Satanic doo-wop.
Satanic
Yes,
doo-wop?
witchy satanic doo-wop. As ridiculous as that sounds, they're amazing.
Don, are you familiar with this
No, I
genre?
have not heard of this genre until this very conversation.
I didn't hear of the genre until them, and I think it's their genre. It's just them. But
there's one band in this
just
genre.
Them, yeah. But growing up on Elvis and old time music, and my grandfather was in a doo-wop band back in the day. I loved that type of stuff, and being a creepy little goth girl, I loved the dark and witchy and satanic things too. And I discovered them one day, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And when you go to their shows, they do like a whole ritual. Their shows feel like you're at a really weird, messed up church. They spit blood on you. The last show we went to had in Philly. We've seen them 3 times now. The last time we went was in Philly, and there were people outside praying the rosary. And, you know, the classic trope that Satanists sacrifice babies. They closed the show by having their band play the instrumental from Rosemary's Baby and stabbed a baby doll on stage. And I was like, where am I? What is this? And how is this so amazing? This is ridiculous, and it's amazing. And their music really helped me feel empowered. A lot of their music is about a lot of feminist ideologies and a lot of religious undertones that someone that was raised Catholic, and now I'm just kind of secular and spiritual, but knowing a lot of that stuff and the religious undertones are really fun for me too, growing up like that. So yes, Satanic Doo-Wop, as ridiculous as it sounds, they're my favorite band.
Don, I love this interview already. This is amazing. I've learned so much in like 2 minutes.
So I know we haven't really talked too much. It's mostly Facebook friends and a couple of conversations during the art walk. I think we remember you having a bit of a dance background as a kid.
Yeah, so I was a dancer most of my childhood. My mom never put me into competition because she said the girls were mean, the teachers were mean, and that she wasn't traveling every weekend to take me to dance competitions. So I was there like 3-4 days a week doing normal dance classes.
Like jazz or
yeah, I did
tap?
I did jazz and tap. I did like a year of ballet, and then I said to my mom, well, this is boring. This isn't fun. So
I can't see you doing ballet, strangely.
Technical wise, ballet is important, and I kind of wish I stayed with it a little bit. I would be better at the other forms of dance if I stuck with it, because it has a lot of the technicality and body strength involved. But yeah, it's boring. It's pretty, but it's boring. And it's tough to learn. So I stuck to jazz and tap and hip hop, surprisingly. But when you're in a dance class at a dance school in New Jersey, a hip hop dance class isn't as cool as it sounds. So it wasn't like step up style hip hop. We were still doing like Justin Bieber songs, but whatever.
Is that hip hop?
No, but they call
rough.
it they called that style of dance class hip hop. So when I say like, yeah, I took hip hop dance classes, people look at me like I'm crazy because I've been a rock and roll and weirdo and punk chick since I was child. They're like, what do you mean you took hip hop dance classes? I'm like, yeah, it's not what it sounds like. It's not actual hip hop dancing, and I wish it was, because that's actually really cool. It was more like an older white guy teaching you like how to moonwalk and like doing like literally Justin Bieber songs and like Kesha songs and like Lady Gaga songs, but the style of dance class for some reason was called hip hop. And other dancers that I've spoken to, and like when I was in school, friends of mine that went to other dance schools, yeah, that's just what that style of dance is called. So it's weird when I say that I took hip hop dance most of my life. But yeah, I did jazz and hip hop.
So I have a question, because I'm actually, I don't know if I told you this, Don, but I'm thinking about, my boys are all in sports, but I got this little lady in my life now, and I want to get her in dance. I thought she was going to end up being a tomboy with all her brothers and everything, but she is the sweetest little girly girl, and she wants to dance. Coming from a professional such as yourself, where's a good place to start for a girl who's about to be 5 years old?
I'm very flattered. I wouldn't consider myself a professional. I'm definitely, a lot of my technique is rusty since I stopped for the most part when I was a teenager. But I think my mom was right for not having me do the competition and making dance my life. Because I think if I would have been at the dance school 5 days a week and at a competition every weekend, and in the competition classes where it was a lot more cliquey, I wouldn't have loved it as much as an adult. It would have taken the fun out of it. My mom was right. I thought she was crazy, but she actually was right. And I quit dance in high school. I stopped going to my dance school about my freshman year of high school, and I regretted it a lot. And I regret it now that I'm dancing actively as an adult, but at the same time, if I didn't take that break, I wouldn't have missed it so much, and I maybe wouldn't be doing it now as an adult. I probably would have gotten sick of it by the time I was 18, 19, 20. So
yeah, sometimes it's awesome to step away and find your love for it again. Like, absence makes the heart grow fonder or something.
It definitely did. And I think when I was a kid, starting with the fun jazz and tap classes were definitely the way to go. Those couple days a week or weekend classes were the way to go when I was a kid. I think my mom started me at the PAL, like Police Athletic League dance school, which was very easy, very low stress. When she moved me up to a real dance school, it was a little more, but it was definitely fun. I think every little girl, I wanted to be a ballerina. I did it for a month and said it was boring, like we said. So I don't think every little girl should have to be doing ballet, or if she wants to do dance, should be doing the competition and the 5 days a week dance classes. I think if she wants to do it, let her have fun. Let her find out.
Jazz or tap, if I was going to pick one.
Jazz or tap, but let her find out which style she likes best. Because I was a jazz and tap kid, and I loved it so much, but I would sit in on the teenage classes that were doing the quote-unquote hip-hop numbers, and I was like, wow, I want to dance like them. And I realized I liked those classes somewhat more. They were more high energy, more intricate. I enjoyed that, but coming home and saying to my mom, I think I want to be a hip-hop dancer, sounded very unlike me at that age. But yeah, let her find out which style of dance she likes the most. And if she wants to flop around and try every one, let her, because I did. And it was much more fun trying multiple. Do I want to tap? Do I want to do jazz? Do I want to do ballet? Do I want to do hip-hop? The only one I didn't do was the aerial up in the air stuff. That was the only one I didn't do. I would definitely say let her figure out what she wants to do. And if she wants to do the competitions, make sure she knows that it is a commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that girls at dance schools can be very mean, and don't listen to them.
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
Girls like to the other girls?
Oh, yeah. That's one of the reasons I didn't do the competition, was those girls were very cliquey. And if you weren't perfect, it was, yeah.
Even at a really young age?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Huh?
Oh, yeah. If you didn't point your toe right in a ballet class, and Little Miss Perfect in the corner had to say something, yeah.
Ooh.
So, if she wants to change classes and change schools and stuff, I wouldn't blame her.
Okay.
I definitely went to a couple different dance schools. I definitely did different classes for different reasons, and the competition and the more active you got in the dance school, the more cliquey it would get. And I think if I was there 5 days a week, it probably would have been a little nastier. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I have a 2-part question. Do you have a teacher that really impacted you? And part 2 to that, if you do, what would that teacher think about your current dance style?
I don't know what she would think. I like to say that if Abby Lee Miller was actually a nice dance teacher, I had her. I went to a dance school in Egg Harbor Township called... Wow, I don't remember because I was that young. It was in Egg Harbor Township on English Creek, and my teacher's name was Miss Donna. She was the owner of the dance school. She taught the more intricate classes, and she was great. One of my dance teachers, Miss Ashley, was Miss New Jersey, and we got to she would come to school in her tiara, and we would take pictures with her. They had quite a few girls and kids in general that would go on to Broadway or professional dancing, and they worked them hard, but they weren't tough and mean like you see some dance teachers are, at least with me. Maybe if I was in the competition classes, it would have been different.
Yeah.
But she was the perfect level of stern that I made sure I was doing everything right, but I was still having fun. And
that's awesome.
I haven't been to that dance school in like 12 years, and I still think about her. And
does she know? Have you ever reached out?
I have not. I've went on the dance school's Facebook and stuff throughout the years, or Googled them and seen what they're going up to and what they have going on, and I think about it, but at the same time, I'm like, you have kids that went on Broadway, and I'm gonna walk in and be like, hey, I'm a burlesque dancer at a bar. She's gonna be like, really, that's it? Be like, for me, that was my dream.
I don't think she will. I mean, as a teacher, when my old students come back and Facebook message me or whatever, it's like, it's the most rewarding thing. I don't know if they go on and end up being an astronaut, that's awesome too. But just coming back and letting me know that whatever I did impacted them, whether they end up being, grosser or anything, I'm just happy I made an impact. I think you should. I think it would make her happy. I mean, I don't know her, So maybe you're right, but
I might walk in there one day when I'm driving by. I think they might even do adult classes. They used to, when I was a kid, offer adult classes sometimes, and I've definitely thought about looking it up and seeing if they still do the adult classes and walking in and being like, hey. But it definitely molded me the way they were there. I had a lot of teachers that were very bubbly and kind, but at the same time strict and stern about the technical stuff, and I needed that.
yeah, for sure.
My mom just says I'm wonky from the waist down, but I have hip dysplasia and I'm pigeon-toed. So like
What is
learning
pigeon-toed?
my feet turn in like a pigeon. When I walk, my feet turn in. Yes. So like the
That could be
technical stuff and the pointing your feet certain ways, I always got a lot of crap for.
Oh.
But I think all of that, coming home and saying they were mean to me tonight. Now looking back, I'm like, no, I needed that because I wasn't doing that right. And now I'm still making sure my toes pointed properly to this day. So clearly it worked.
Oh, so funny. I was just talking. When you got here, I was doing my counselor meeting, and I was telling them it's okay to be strict if you're doing it with love, if you're telling them what to do, but you're doing it from a good place. Even if at the moment it doesn't feel good to them, they're going to appreciate that eventually. A lot of times if they call me, Mr. Sam, can you come? This kid is not, he's being a bully or whatever. If I come and I'm really giving them a hard time, and sometimes they even come to tears, but at the end of it, later in the day, they want to tell me about their day and how they've been so much better afterwards, because they know that I didn't come at them mean-spirited. They know I want the best from them. So I think it's really cool to hear that from you.
I get that with a lot of my burlesque sisters still, too. I mean, I trained myself probably for like 4 years watching videos in my room and tutorials and practicing makeup and practicing rhinestoning things, which I'm still not the best at. But I trained myself a lot, but I have a couple burlesque sisters that are really important to me that definitely gave me tough love and stern advice when I needed it. And if they didn't, I maybe wouldn't be doing it yet. So I definitely appreciate the tough love and sternness when it's needed.
Well, what led you from like getting involved with shadow casts, then like transitioning into more burlesque performances?
I wanted to be a burlesque performer or cabaret performer from the time I was a little girl. I was watching Cabaret and Moulin Rouge and being like, Mom, how do I do that? How do I become that? And she'd be like, well, someday. Someday you can, but you're 6 years old, so you're not yet. And I'd be like, and as cliche as it is, and a lot of people in the burlesque community hate this movie, because there's literally one actual burlesque number in the whole movie, but the movie Burlesque with Christina Aguilera and Cher came out when I was like 13, and I saw that in theaters. And even sitting there, I'm like, well, they're not taking their clothes off in this movie, so this is an actual burlesque, but they were showgirls. And they couldn't call the movie Showgirls or Cabaret for obvious reasons, but I walked out of that movie and I was like, okay, I do want to do it. I thought maybe I was just crazy because I was a little girl watching pretty girls on the screen, but I do. And I started falling down a hole, and I remember being a kid and Marilyn Manson was married to Dita Von Teese, and being a little girl and being like, well, what does she do? Why is she famous? Is she just famous for being pretty? And the answer was, yeah, she's pretty and she dances because she's pretty and that's why she's famous. And I would watch her and be like, well, I want to be like that. So I went into doing the Rocky Horror shadow cast at Bar XIII because I love Rocky Horror and I always wanted to do one of the shadow casts. And I liked the people there. I wanted to make closer friends with them. And I knew that getting in with the shadow cast would hopefully give me some experience on stage that I haven't had in a while, and kind of get my foot in the door with everybody else at Bar XIII to try to do burlesque. And I started the shadow casts in August of 2022. And I think I did 2 or 3 shadow casts, and then in January they put out the application for an open call burlesque show, and I applied. And I got accepted. So I went into doing the shadow cast because I love Rocky Horror and I love performing and being on stage, whether it's acting or shadow cast or dancing or singing if I have my voice, which today I sound raspy. I wanted to use it as a stepping stone to perform and do other things there, but I didn't think it would happen so quickly that I'd be doing burlesque. And I'm very happy that I pushed myself and made the friends that I did, and there's a lot of beer opening happening.
He was trying so hard to make it quiet, and yet it was the loudest opening I've ever heard.
It's like when you're at the
Cheers,
movie theater
brother.
and your mom sneaks a soda can in her purse and goes, "Here, open this, but be quiet."
Yeah, it's impossible.
But yeah, I went into it knowing that I love Rocky Horror, but I eventually want to be on that stage as a burlesque dancer, and I was shocked that they accepted me having no on-stage burlesque experience, just the shadow casts, but they did.
Did you like do an audition, or?
We didn't have to do auditions. They do an audition show once every year or two. Sometimes at Bar XIII they will do a Dark Angels open call audition show, and I'm happy I didn't have to do that show, because that show was like 2 months after the Broadway show that I did, and it was like American Idol for burlesque. A couple of my friends that did it would go up there, do their routine, and then the head 3 Dark Angels, like the cast manager and the owner of the bar and the other manager would, like, critique them. And then they had to leave and get off stage and, get an email within a week or two if they're going to be in the roster for upcoming shows or not. I was like, oh my God, that's so nerve-wracking. I'm so happy that because I was in the Rocky cast, I got sent the application and got accepted. They kind of just let me have a chance. We had a dress rehearsal that I was able to run things and get their critiques and help. But other than that, they kind of just let me take a chance, and I'm so grateful they did.
That's amazing. I have a really important question, actually.
Yes.
And if you could spell it out as best you can. For a dummy like me, can you explain what exactly is burlesque?
A lot of people think that burlesque is
Stripping?
fancy stripping.
Yeah.
Which I jokingly say all the time, I am a fancy stripper, I am a glorified stripper. I say that jokingly. But really, burlesque, I mean, it's probably hundreds of years old, if I'm thinking my history right. It goes back to Victorian women dancing in rich men's houses and cabaret clubs where it was very hush-hush, and you would go down and practically like a speakeasy for burlesque. It was, it's stripping in the sense that you are taking your clothes off on a stage to music, but it is an art form that is hundreds of years old, and it's so much more than just taking your clothes off. I do ridiculous routines for the most part. Yeah, I want to be an old-time burlesque dancer and do pretty hair and makeup and old jazz numbers, but it's really fun to be the Cat in the Hat with pasties on. or Gene Simmons as the demon with blood running down my face and pasties and giant spiked shoulder pads on. It's fun.
Oh.
I make art with my body is how I try to explain it. Like when I tried to explain it to my dad, because he was being an old Italian father, he was not happy about it at first.
I'm sure.
Explaining it to him
At
was
first, though,
art.
he came around.
He has been to one show. And
really?
Yes, he had to bring Mike one day because Bar XIII is about an hour and 20
And he was
minutes
there
from us.
sitting alongside of your boyfriend?
Yes, he stayed, and him and Mike were standing on the side of the stage. And all my friends, when I came off stage and my dad left, they were like, "Your dad is so cute." He was sitting there pointing, going, "That's my daughter! Look, that's my daughter!"
Oh.
And they said, the second you took your bra off, he covered his eyes, turned around, and went, "Oh, shit." Like, yeah, that sounds like him. So he's very supportive now, but it took a lot of like trying to explain to both my parents. My mom understood because she's been watching Moulin Rouge and cabaret and burlesque with me my whole life, but my dad took a little bit of convincing to be like, "Listen, I'm not gonna be at a club where people are touching me and putting money in my bra or in my underwear or in my garter. I'm not giving lap dances, I promise. Nobody can touch me. They're throwing money from 6 feet away if they're lucky." And it's it's art. I like to say I'm making art, but with my body. I get to dance, and I get to show some of my dancing skills just as much as I can ham it up and be silly and quirky and funny. I think a lot of my routines, I've done the Cat in the Hat, I've done Gene Simmons, I did the Virgin Mary for our Christmas show. For our Christmas show, I was the Virgin Mary. I had a fake belly and all. I've done Blue's Clues.
Wow.
To I Want to Be Your Dog, Joan Jett's version of I Want to Be Your Dog. I did
Joan
Blue's
Jett
Clues.
did one?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Blue's Clues, the worm from the labyrinth, the little blue fuzzy worm. I've done him.
Is this just something that comes to you and you're like,
yeah, a lot of our shows are themed. So when they give us a theme, my brain seems to think of the most ridiculous thing possible right off the bat.
Oh, so we're looking right now. Mike Spagnol is showing us, wow, full. So you were the dog.
Yeah, I was Blue's Clues. My friend wore the green striped shirt and was Steve. And he cut out a bunch of paw prints and made them rain on me. So we had clues, and he was making it rain.
Someone's
clues
gotta
on
send
me.
that to Steve.
My Gene Simmons routine, that was for our Dad Rock burlesque show around last Father's Day. And I was like, well, I think of my dad. He is the world's biggest Kiss fan. Like, if he could erect a church in the name of Gene Simmons, he would. So I was like, I'm gonna do full Kiss demon makeup.
Because I was thinking you two don't seem like big Kiss
fans. I am a big Kiss fan.
You are.
Mike is also a Kiss fan.
Mike is?
Mike?
I was 12.
Since you were 12?
He's been in the Kiss Army since he was 12. I've been in the Kiss Army since I was conceived. I have you beat. I'm like,
is this blowing your mind?
I'm like pretty sure my dad.
Mike's
I think my dad like found out my mom was pregnant and like immediately signed me up for the Kiss Army. I swear he's insane. But no, I've seen Kiss probably 7 times, and that is a lot for someone who's only 26 because they didn't tour most of my life.
Are you gonna go to their, what is it, like a 3D animated
I will.
concert?
Me and my dad will. We'll check it out if it's not too expensive. But
Kiss makes that money, I know.
yeah, Gene Simmons, I mean, they literally sell Kiss toilet paper. So yeah, he'll literally put his face on toilet paper.
I have a friend town who might be top 10 fan, and he's got all of it. The guitar with the blood on it, the backs. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
Ray Scipione.
I don't know
Oh, you don't know Ray?
No, my friend Eric Eric Euler from college was like the biggest Kiss
What
fan
is it about Kiss, dude? I don't...
They're silly while still being good. And I don't know. It's very hard to draw that line between silly and ridiculously fun, but still make good music.
Yeah.
And they do. And me, okay, I love clowns. I really love clowns, and I love goth stuff. They're goth clowns. Kiss are just goth clowns, and there's nothing more than I would want in life than a goth clown. So, yeah, I am a nerd for Kiss. We just went to their final show at Madison Square Garden.
You went to that show?
Mike bought the tickets for me,
What
him
a
and
good
my dad.
guy.
For my graduation present last year when I graduated college, he bought them for us. It was like $1,500 for 3 tickets. It was insane.
Sell a lot of stickers for that, brother.
Yeah. I don't want to know what he was selling at the store when I wasn't there to make up for that, but it was a great show, and they were my first concert when I was like 10 years old. Like first big concert, and
That must have been impactful.
yeah, I love them. I think they're ridiculous in all the best ways. So yeah, my little punk girl self, which is still funny to say because I grew up on like Avril Lavigne and Green Day and Courtney Love and Hole and stuff.
Yeah,
so, like,
I kind of did
so
too.
like
Blink
a real gatekeeper punk would tell me I'm a loser idiot child, but
I mean,
if it wasn't
isn't your boyfriend kind of that?
Yes, he
punk?
is. Yes, he is. But he understands that if I didn't grow up worshiping Avril Lavigne as a 6-year-old and wanting to marry Billy Joe from Green Day as a 13-year-old, that I would have never actually found like the real stuff that I love now. And funny enough, we're seeing Green Day this summer. And we're seeing Avril Lavigne this summer.
Have you ever seen Green Day?
No, I haven't.
I'm shocked Mike's going, but let me tell you.
He's going because Rancid's opening for them. He's going to see... He bought me tickets to see Avril Lavigne because us and our friends, jokingly, our friend Richie Riot, who has a store in Pennsylvania called Rock and Roll Knife Fight, and one of our best friends, Tom, we jokingly say that Avril Lavigne is the creator of punk rock, the mother of punk rock. We make jokes. Richie will say Avril Lavigne went back in time and discovered the Sex Pistols. We're just ridiculous, but I'll say to them all the time, you guys realize there is half of me that does worship her, though, because the 6-year-old to 13-year-old in me really did love her. And she announced a tour this summer. We were like, we should go as a joke.
Why did she break up with the dude from Sum 41?
I don't know. Wasn't she also married to the dude from Nickelback?
Was she?
I think so.
Whoa.
I think after she broke up
Weird.
with him, she married the dude from Nickelback.
I saw a picture of her recently. She looks almost
She looks 16.
She looks the same.
She looks 16.
Have you seen, dude?
Well, have you ever heard the conspiracy theory that she is dead and was replaced by a body double?
No, I have not heard this theory.
So apparently I'm telling you, go on YouTube, TikTok, Google, wherever you want to go later to look this up. There are pages on the internet about it. This started like literally 15 years ago at least. Back in like 2003, I want to say, when her career was taking off, apparently, I think her parents were dealing with stuff and maybe were getting a divorce. But I think her grandfather or grandmother or something died. And she was apparently dealing with depression and apparently committed suicide. But her record label, she was at the height of her career, said, no, that's not okay. So they hired a woman that looked just like her named Melissa, apparently. So now the whole internet jokingly, I mean, I don't know, there might be some people that actually believe it, but the internet jokingly, like, you'll see a TikTok of Avril Lavigne come up and the comments are like, oh my God, Melissa looks so great. Yeah.
Don, have you ever been to a burlesque show?
Oh yeah, a bunch.
Oh yeah, a bunch. Yes.
No, well, I used to go to like Philomoka in Philadelphia, and I'd go to see like Liberty Rose and Kate Nix, Minnie Tonka, and like all these like really cool like neo burlesque, and I loved how they themed things. The shows out. Like the first one I went was during Philly Comic Con one year, and like they did this whole like superhero themed burlesque show, and it was like one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Superhero. Man, I'd love if there was a pro wrestling one.
There are in Philly every once in a while. It is called Wrestlesque. Was the show that they did.
No way.
And they said that they're looking to do more.
Do they actually incorporate wrestling with it, or is it just the girls dressing up? Like
the girls are dressing up. Girls, days, gays, all of it. Burlesque is all inclusive. I love boylesque so much.
boylesque.
Boylesque is one of my favorite things.
Just dudes doing burlesque.
Beautiful, handsome men in sparkly thongs and sparkly pasties and heels, and it's great. They're great. It's like Chippendales and Vegas showgirls had a baby, and it's beautiful. I love when we get boylesque performers in our shows. I'm like, this is amazing.
Well, I always like, the more you read about, like, especially the neo burlesque stuff, like how it comes from a place of like personal empowerment, and it's sort of taking ownership of your own body and your space, and while it's a performance, it's like you get to choose, what people see. You get to choose the way you move on stage without it being necessarily directed from, I don't know, some sort of like either male gaze or whatever.
Yeah, and that's a big reason of why I went into it too. I struggled with body dysmorphia and fluctuating weight my whole life. I never really felt completely comfortable in my skin. It felt like the second I did feel a little comfortable, I'd gain weight or I'd lose weight. And having body dysmorphia and a history of eating disorders and stuff like that, burlesque helped me so much. It's brought so much of my confidence back. And I will admit, a majority of our crowds most of the time are women.
Sure.
And nobody loves pretty girls more than other pretty girls. I swear to God. They will be screaming for me, throwing money for me, and it makes me feel so much better about myself. I like to say my body dysmorphia is mostly cured since I started burlesque. It is so empowering.
Yeah. Have you ever watched like older burlesque stuff? Like
I love watching old classic stuff. That was where I was when I was a kid, watching that type of stuff on YouTube and wondering honestly didn't even know that they were still doing it like that. And there are shows and production companies that do very classic old style burlesque still, and I would love to get into doing that more. But the old style burlesque, there's something so empowering and beautiful about it. The way they did their hair and makeup, the music, the atmosphere of the clubs. If I could time travel to the 40s and be a burlesque dancer back then, I would. I absolutely would.
Yeah, there's a certain level of glamour to
It's so
that.
beautiful
It's
and
really,
glamorous.
it's like it comes off of the almost like that silver screen beauty image. It's cool stuff.
So, first of all, I want to say that really spoke to me because as a kid, when I had to like do like a presentation in class or something, I was probably the most nervous guy to speak publicly. So still to this day at 41 years old, like I still doing this, talking to the campers, going out and doing a pro wrestling promo or something. It still feels good because I'm so confident doing it now. And I remember how fearful I was before. Are you in that same place where every time you're just like, hell yeah, like I'm doing this shit?
When I'm about to step on stage, it still feels like it's my first time again.
Really?
Every time I'm about to step on stage, I look for Mike in the front row, and I sit there and I look at him and I give him a face like, shit, I really have to do this right now. And I just sit there and I'm like, oh God, don't mess up. But the good thing is, I'm the one that choreographed it. Only person that's going to know if I messed up is me. Mm-hmm. And
so it's not improv. It's
a lot of it is improv. I do about 50-50. I know some dancers that completely improv their routines completely, and I know some dancers that will choreograph every single move. What I learned is if I try to completely choreograph, I will put too much pressure on myself for making everything perfect and forgetting things. I will take whatever song I'm going to do and I'll copy and paste the lyrics of it from Google, and I'll just make marks in the song. Okay, put a star here and put what I'm doing at certain points in the song. I just give myself bullet points. If there's this part of the song is where I want to take my scarf or dress off, I'll write it down. And as long as I hit those marks in my head, I improv the rest. I will choreograph to an extent at home and practice, but I will admit every time I run that routine and every time I practice, it's different from the time before.
Do you know how similar this sounds to pro wrestling? I mean,
I want to be a wrestler.
I'm having
honestly,
a show
I would
here
love
in a couple weeks.
I'm 4'11" and 120 pounds, but throw me out there. I'll see what I can do. I'm so serious. I would love to.
I am going to be, for my summer campers, working a show.
Oh, I'm their size if you want to put me against them. Like I said, I'm 4'10".
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're tiny.
Some doctors will give me 4'11".
They're sweet.
Yeah, but no, it's like 4'10" and a
You think
half.
you can get on a microphone and talk some trash?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You want to? What about being a manager? Would you walk them down the aisle and be their mouthpiece if they're like wearing a mask and they're like the strong like beast kind of guy? Would
Absolutely.
You
I
would?
think wrestling is
Like
so fun. I think wrestling is so
come
fun.
to one of my
so
shows.
Funny. I would love to.
I'll come to one of yours. You come to one of mine. I've never been to a burlesque show, and I think I might have had the wrong idea of what burlesque.
Bring the wife.
You haven't met my wife.
Bring her.
Okay. Well, we did go to a drag show, and
Yeah.
she had a blast. So
We have
maybe.
a lot of drag performers in our burlesque shows too.
Yeah.
One of the drag queens that frequently works the shows at the bar, her name is Scarlett Masters. She does a drag show every first Sunday of the month at
No one
the
wants
bar.
to do that on a Monday.
Yeah, not on a Monday. First Sunday of every month at the bar, she does her own drag shows, and they're great. And she'll have some of us Dark Angels girls in there, and then she hosts our burlesque shows and our Rocky Horror shows, and she'll do drag or burlesque or singing numbers in our shows, and I love it. I love drag, and I love when our burlesque shows have drag performers too. I like to say that drag queens and burlesque dancers are just
Oh, they're
one
so
and the same.
fun.
We're one and the same, though. We're very similar in so many ways. We're complete opposites, but we're so similar too. And I love drag queens so much.
Let me get a question for both of you, actually. For
Ooh, this is
Oh,
exciting.
question for me. This is the first time on this podcast.
So, do you find that there's Alexa, there's Sam, but then there's Alexandra and Mr. Sam? Like,
good
do you,
question.
Like, is there all of a sudden a switch that turns and that performer comes out and it's like a totally different personality?
Good question. I'll let you. Do you have an answer? You want to go first?
You can go first, but first of all, I would love to meet Mr. Sam. That sounds delightful. That sounds adorable and delightful, and I would love to meet Mr. Sam.
Oh, I'll jump right into
Like,
you
that's
guys
so
and come to
cute.
my show.
That is adorable.
Thank you. You know, that's an awesome question, man. And I think it depends on the person and the character. So back in the day, I had a different character, but now I'm this school owner. I made my comeback. I got my kids with me at my shows. So I'm gonna say yes and no, because I don't feel like I become a different person. But man, when my music hits and I'm behind those curtains and right before I go on, I am, I have a pretty good amount of energy as it is. But like when it's go time, I'm kind of like Mr. Sam times 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still me, but like I am me amplified. Like I'm bringing all the energy, all the love that I would bring in a normal camp day or class day where everyone's gonna feel my energy. My whole gimmick, because I'm like the oldest dude in wrestling now, is like I wear a big thing that says old school on my shirt. I'm giving old school things to the kids, or like I'm going around and hitting them with slap bracelets. Yeah. There's this whole thing that has started to catch on in my last show where I take out the slap bracelet, and before I slap it on the person, I start twirling it. Everyone goes, "Oh, slap." Oh, it's the stupidest, silliest thing, but that's what wrestling's all about.
I love the stupidity of wrestling so much. It's amazing.
It's the best. It's so ridiculous. And then there's always like some dork in the background like, don't you know it's fake? It's like, yeah,
like,
dude.
Obviously it's fake. His teeth just went flying across the room. Yes, it's fake.
We are in underwear. Like, freaking,
like the dude's got a sequin thong on. Obviously it's fake.
Yeah, but like, I love that you said that. Oh, I hope you guys come to one of my shows one day. I've been asking Mike forever.
I would love to. I actually would love to. I love wrestling and boxing and all types of stuff like combat sports. I love, but wrestling is so much fun because it's just camp. It's so funny. And I love it.
So speaking of camp, like if you want to come to my camp show, it's really for the kids. You can come to that. Or I'll let you know future shows. And I definitely want to come to one of yours. But sorry, go ahead, answer Don's question.
I try to think that there's not much of a difference between Alexa and Alexandra. But I will admit, once my hair and makeup, and my showgirl hair and makeup's done, and my pretty glittery lingerie is on, and my pretty sparkly tassely pasties are on, and my heels are on, I do feel like a different person. As much as I like to think that I am still just me, I feel...
I don't think anyone heard that.
Going around.
No one heard that.
I do feel like almost... It's almost goddess-like when you get it all on and it's like, holy shit, this is me. Like... it feels good, and being on stage and hearing, you can't really hear or see much from on stage, but when the crowd is screaming, you can hear it, and it's still part of me is like, wow, they're screaming for me, and it feels incredible. And yeah, I do feel like kind of like a bad bitch when I have all my shit on. I definitely feel a lot more confident and a lot more secure in myself. But I try not to think that there's much of a difference between Alexa and Alexandra, because Alexandra is just going up there and doing the things that Alexa always dreamed of doing. So it's just Alexa's silly side. Yeah, it's her silly or super goth or super sexy side, but I try to still think it's still me because it's what I've been dreaming of my whole life, and it's me as a person is a bubbly spitfire little ball of energy, and that's how I am on stage too.
I'm trying to imagine that first show, the first time you did it.
Oh, that was terrifying.
Yeah.
That was terrifying.
Was Mike there for that
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, Mike was there, my mom was there, my aunt was there, like a bunch of my friends came. It warmed my heart so much, and I was so scared. I had a friend that I was like, right before I went on stage, I literally looked at him and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do it. Oh my God. And then I heard them say Alexandra Ghoul, and they were like, go! And they pushed me, literally pushed me to the stairs of the stage, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna do this. And watching the video from that show, I've come miles just in the year and a half from that show to this one.
How'd it feel, though, after that first one?
Oh, I walked off the stage and I almost fell on the ground. I started sobbing. I walked off stage and I started profusely sobbing in my friend's arms, just hysterical. And it was
I was like after my first wrestling match.
It was like, I did it.
Hell yeah.
I did it. But then another part of me was like, oh my God, like 150 people just saw me naked. Almost naked. But still, oh God, I did it. I did it, and was it good? And then I heard everybody screaming, and they were like, they said on stage, the host of that show said that was her debut, and everybody like roared, and I was like, that's for me?
Wow. That's
for me? And it's been my favorite feeling ever since. But yeah, that first show was definitely an emotional roller coaster, and it was a Broadway themed show. So I did Don't Rain on My Parade by Barbra Streisand. And I had the little fur hat and the little red coat, and it was very nerve-wracking, but I'm very happy I got to do it. And I love Barbra Streisand. Yes, it's from Funny Girl. I love Barbara, so I was so happy to do it too.
Would this have happened? I'm kind of fascinated by this relationship. I've known Mike for a few years now, and like to see him so happy and like in this wonderful relationship, it's a really cool thing to see. Though I mean, I've really only seen it on Facebook until now, but really like knowing, meeting him before he met you, and now like there's. I hope you're okay with me saying this, but there's definitely a difference in like, I mean, he's kind of glowing. Would this have happened if you had never met Mike, or is he a part of?
No, it wouldn't have. I mean, I met him when I was 17, 18 years old, though. I started working for him as a makeup artist, and he was in another relationship, had his store, had his whole life. He was happy. It was not even a thought in my head. I had a crush on him at 17 because I have problems. I mean, any girl. I'm 26 years old. My boyfriend's 61. Clearly, I have problems.
Dude, you're 61?
I know.
God dang, goals right here.
I know. I hit the jackpot as far as 61-year-olds go.
Dude, the most perfect hairline on a 61-year-old. I should shut up. I don't want to embarrass him, but
he has nicer hair than me. It's fine.
Unbelievable.
But I started working for him at like 17, 18, and I had a crush on him, but, I saw him a few times a year when I worked the events, and that was it. And I started doing the makeup for Zombie Santa and going to Art Walk and stuff more, and we got really close during COVID because he had the store closed during quarantine, and I was working at restaurants and they were closed, so we both had nothing to do. We just started hanging out and making art together, and we got super close. We were best friends for 2 years, and finally one day I was just like, I like you. I don't know what to do. I literally like was screaming and crying, and I was just like, I'm in love with you, and I don't know what to do.
Were you planning on this, or this just came out one day?
Never thought. It was just like, that's a stupid schoolgirl crush. Just let it go, and also that's your best friend, so get it out of your head.
And, you guys were like really tight.
We were. He was coming to my family for Christmas dinner, even though I had I had a boyfriend that lived with me and my parents.
Oh, jeez.
Abusive, horrible.
Oh,
it seemed every guy I've been with up until him was horrible for the most part, if we're going to be honest. And it's probably what led me to him too. Wow. I feel much more safer and secure with him being so much older than me than guys my age. Guys my age were always jerks to me, and abusive in one way or another, and I feel safe with him and I feel respected, and he does things that a 25-year-old guy would have never even thought of. And I'm like, see, look at that. This is great. But yeah, if it wasn't for us getting super close and eventually dating, it wouldn't have happened. Every guy I was ever with before that, I would bring it up and they would be like, absolutely not. You're not burlesque. Like they would think.
Oh, you brought up the burlesque thing to...
It's been my goal in life since I was 10 years old. I wanted to be a cabaret or burlesque dancer. And I would bring it up to my boyfriends in high school or after high school, like my early 20s. And my most recent relationship that I left him for Mike. Again, no regrets. Screw him. I'm so serious. He would say all the time, you're not going to become a burlesque dancer. And if you do, my family can't know about it and it needs to be kept private. And I'm like, well, I can't promote anything if you need me to keep it private. And I'm not going to be ashamed of who I am and what I want to be with my life. And it was a lot of that for years. I was with a guy that was in the military. Obviously, that wasn't going to go over that well. A military wife being a burlesque dancer probably would not have went over well. And yeah, I didn't have the acceptance in myself or from others to do it until I started dating him.
This seems more than acceptance.
Yeah.
It seems like real support.
Yeah, he makes me feel like I can do it. And we started going to Bar XIII because they have amazing punk shows there. Mm-hmm. And we started going to a few punk shows, and I saw the flyer for open applications for the Rocky cast. And I took a chance and applied. We loved Bar XIII from the second we walked in there, and we wanted to be there more and wanted to do more stuff there. So the second I saw that they had open applications, I went for it. And with in mind, I love Rocky Horror. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I could do a one-woman show of Rocky Horror on that stage if they needed me to myself. Like if something happened and every single person that was supposed to go on that stage got sick right before the show, I'd be fine.
You could do Meatloaf, no problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could do Meatloaf, Frankenfurter, Rocky, Riff Raff, whoever. I don't care. I've been doing it since I was 10, and it's really embarrassing, but I have. It's one of my mother's favorite movies, too. So I used it as the stepping stone, but I wouldn't have even found Bar XIII if it wasn't for him taking me to a show there because we wanted to go see one of our favorite artists there. So
I hope you don't mind me asking, does anyone ever... How do I word this? So I've seen photos or seen couples with an age gap where I've been like, oh, this doesn't seem right. This is the most seeming right couple I've ever seen with the age gap thing. It really is. I'm saying that from the bottom of my heart. Like, do you guys ever get shit about it? Does anyone ever...
all the time.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. There's quite a few people that definitely have a lot to say about me and him. Whether it's I've gotten it from a couple members of my family that like were never that important to me in the first place. So screw you.
She's a gold digger and I'm a groomer.
Yeah, I'm a gold digger and he's a groomer, but we live in an apartment. He works a store. He runs his own business. He's not Donald Trump over here. We don't have a gold toilet. It's an apartment. I drive a Volkswagen and he drives a Kia.
You mean punk rock stores aren't
Yeah,
raking in the millions?
Who would have thought that running a little punk rock shop in Smithville, he's not a millionaire? Who would have thought? And everybody says, not everybody, but there's a select few people that say that he's grooming me. One of them being the ex that I was talking about. Because for years, bullied in high school and middle school for being weird. I'd even wear a Kiss shirt to school, and it was like, yeah, you got freaking goth clowns on your shirt, you weirdo. And it's like, all right, I'm not. I try to wear black lipsticks to school. I'd get called Morticia Addams, but not in the good way. I couldn't be who I wanted to be. I'd be with my ex-boyfriends, and I'd do crazy rainbow makeup and a dark lip, and they'd be like, why'd you do all that? Or I'd put on fishnets and a leather dress, and they'd be like, why are you wearing that? I was never able to be who I wanted to be. Whether it was from bullying and me just feeling like I don't want to make myself more of a target, or relationships where I felt trapped and stifled from being who I really wanted to be. So the second we got together, I dyed my hair jet black like I wanted to, because when I did it in high school, I loved it. He runs a punk clothing store. We have plenty of punk and goth clothes. So he helped me out with the clothes. But I mean, being someone in their early 20s, I did not have the disposable income to be buying all the goth clothes of my desires anyway. But yeah, people that look at pictures of me from 5 years ago before we were hanging out every day and now definitely say, look, he's grooming you. You're wearing all black. You dyed your hair black. You chopped your hair bangs like Betty Page. You're wearing goth platform boots and I'm like, yeah, I was doing all those things just in my room with the door locked and not coming out before. Sorry.
He's
like
bringing out who you really are.
Yeah, he lets me be who I want to be, and I let him be feral and insane like he wants to be too. Because like I've been told on one hand I do have like baby energy, like a literal child, but on the other hand I'm an old soul. I've been told that. Like I said, I love Elvis and old type of stuff.
Did you see the new movie, by the way?
I watched Elvis, but I did not see Priscilla. I'm kind of scared to watch Priscilla because I've been told it does not paint Elvis in a good light. And I know Elvis was not a saint. Believe me, I know. But do I want to physically see it happening? Maybe not, because my grandmother was one of the biggest Elvis fans in the world. Literally would go to like barbecues and parties at Graceland. Like literally would go to Elvis barbecues, was a part of a fan club. I was going to Elvis shows my whole childhood, Elvis impersonator shows. And she, when I was growing up, had an Elvis room, a whole room of Elvis memorabilia. And when she passed away, she left it to me. So if you walk in our apartment, it's insane. Because he also had some Elvis stuff too, because he loves Elvis. But if you walk in our apartment, it's like, it looks like a 75-year-old woman lives there as equally as it does like a 25-year-old serial killing young man. I'm serious. But because I do love a lot of old things, I mean, what 25-year-old girl is watching black and white Universal Monsters movies? Not many.
I see your tattoo over
yes,
there.
this is my Creature from the Black Lagoon tattoo.
I've never
He's my
seen
favorite.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
What?
I know.
That's
I
a
love
crime.
horror.
Dude.
I watch it all the time.
My
I watched.
favorite.
I don't know if it's considered horror, but your boyfriend recommended Eraserhead. I watched.
Oh, Eraserhead's phenomenal.
That was wild. That was wild. I gotta
Eraserhead is
rewatch
phenomenal.
that too.
I saw that at like 16
saw
years
it before.
old, smoking way too much weed in like a friend's basement, and we watched Eraserhead, and I was like, "What is this? Is terrifying.
You could
What
watch it
is
stone
this?"
cold sober and be like,
I know. It's honestly, I think it's worse sober because when I was 16, I didn't understand. I was just like, whoa, what is this? This is scary. Now I watch it and I'm like, no, seriously, what is that? Like, what kind of special effects did they use for this? And they still, that movie was made, what, like 50 damn years ago? They still will not admit what they used to make that messed up baby. But there's rumors that it was a baby goat. Or a cow, sorry.
cow?
I thought it was a
I
goat.
think it's called a calf.
Calf, yeah. He's a
teacher,
city
you
boy.
know.
He doesn't know what a calf is. City boy was shocked that you had chickens. He doesn't know what a calf is.
Bro, do you want chickens? I want to get these chickens. I've been saying this to Don every podcast.
I love the chickens.
These chickens poop, and these poop bring the flies. And dude, we gotta get these chickens out of here. You guys want some chickens?
If we didn't live in an apartment, I would take chickens.
It
Absolutely.
started off with 22, but we would, Mike, we would leave the gate open and kind of let them mosey around. And we have security cameras here. And man, you never knew a fox, an owl. Oh my gosh, it was wild. But
like your own personal Discovery Channel documentaries. Oh my god.
Trials of life.
yeah, man. So, how has this been? I just want to say this. I've been having a blast with this interview. How has it been an hour? Like,
Oh wow.
This is fascinating stuff. I am just blown away by this interview.
Let me ask one more question before we get wrapped up. Do you have a favorite show that you've done so far? Favorite performance?
I want to say the Kiss one when I did Rock and Roll All Night. I had a blood pack in my mouth. I bursted it and had the blood pouring down. I had my Gene Simmons makeup and my crazy big teased hair. My giant stompy boots. I want to say that one because it did mean a lot to me. It probably meant the most to me out of all my routines. But I will admit, being the Virgin Mary at our Christmas show might have been my favorite. That was hilarious. I watched that video quite a bit. And I also did it to a song called I Love You, Jesus, which is a half satirical Christian song. It's by a YouTuber named Trisha Paytas, who is like an ex-prostitute, ex-stripper, just the internet's favorite train wreck, but she made a song called I Love You, Jesus. And it's good. I hate to admit it. The song is so bad, it's good. And I did that with the fake belly, and I had the like head scarf, and I took the belly off halfway through my routine and pulled a baby out from under it. Definitely really fun. That one might be my favorite to look back on and giggle at, but the one that meant the most to me was definitely the Father's Day show where I did Kiss, because I was so excited to show my dad that video.
That's awesome.
Don, I have like questions for all of you. Don, I don't know if I can get the babysitter. I don't know if Lisa would want to do this. Brother, will you come to me to a burlesque show?
Sure.
We have one in a couple weeks.
Do you?
My next show.
Where's this one happening?
Bar XIII, Delaware. It's even closer for you. It's about an hour and 20
we
minutes.
Can visit the
it's
in-laws?
in Wilmington. It's literally 20 minutes outside of Philly. So for us, it's like an hour and 20 minutes. But I mean, my mom lives in Mays Landing, and it's almost exactly an hour from her house. So
Don, I would love to do
Hamilton, you're even a little farther out west. It's probably even a little bit
Sure. Just
less
let me
for
know.
you.
Dude, that would be awesome.
But the 29th, let me check. I have the promo photo on my phone. I believe it is June 29th.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone listening, like, where do they see you?
Bar XIII, Delaware. I go dance at every Delaware Punk Night, which is the second Friday of every month. And I dance in a decent amount of the Dark Angels shows. We have the Dark Angels, and then we have another producer that's kind of just his own extension. His name is Fenris. He's actually a wrestler and a comedian. So all of his shows are half comedy and half burlesque, and they're shit shows. They're ridiculous. But his most recent, his upcoming show is Saturday, June 29th. We're doing the Corn Winter Formal because he wanted us to all be pretty girls and look like we're going to a school dance or something, but it's prom season, so it would have been cliche to call it a prom. So him being a comedian, he thought it would be funny to call it the Winter Formal, and it's a new metal show. So it's all new metal that we're going to be dancing to. However, I'm doing Richard Cheese's cover of Down with the Sickness because Richard Cheese's jazz covers are just hilarious.
It's a jazz cover of
Yes.
Disturbed.
Richard Cheese does jazz covers, like lounge jazz covers of rock and rap songs, and he's ridiculous. He is insane. He is so funny. And he has a cover of Down with the Sickness. I heard it when I was a kid because it was in the... What was that, babe? Which one was that? Dawn of the Dead?
The remake of Dawn of the Dead.
The remake of Dawn of the Dead that came out in like
It's a good
2006 or
movie.
whatever.
That first scene was great.
His version of Down with the Sickness is the montage scene when they're killing all the zombies. And I remember being a kid and being like, this is so funny. And in my head as a kid, I was like, well, when I dance someday, this is the type of stuff I want to dance to. Like rock songs, but funny jazz covers of them. And yeah, he told me we were doing the new metal burlesque show, and I said, please let me do Richard Cheese's version of Down with the Sickness. So I have a fringe costume coming in this week. I'm going to be doing big jazz choreography that I'm probably really rusty on, so I have to start practicing now. I'm very excited. It's going to be ridiculous, and it's Saturday, June 29th. Doors are at 9, shows at 10. That's how all of our shows are, whether it's Rocky 13, Dark Angels, or Fenris's shows. Doors are at 9, shows are at 10. And it's my home. I love it there.
Gosh, I want to
So,
go, man. This would be so much
Just keep
fun.
an eye on Bar XIII Delaware's events, and whether it's a punk night where I'll be go-go dancing or just a regular punk show where I'll be helping with merch and helping the bands, or a Rocky 13 production or a burlesque show. If Bar XIII's events, I'll be posting all of them when I'm in them.
I know we're over the time. I got more questions, man. There's a couple more. I'm such fans. Next one is actually, if you don't mind, Mike. I've interviewed Mike a few times. I think he's fun on the mic. Mike, how does it feel? I just can't even imagine. You live in a different world than mine. Like, how does it feel seeing your lady friend up there on stage with, other dudes who might be, is it a good feeling or are you proud? Like, how's it feel?
It's a weird feeling. It's pride, but most of all, it makes me happy that it makes her happy. That's the biggest part of it. It makes her happy. It makes her feel confidence. So my feelings are actually secondary.
Oh, man. You guys are so freaking... How are you 61, dude? By the way, this dude, beautiful 61.
That's the only right answer.
And my last question for you is, like, what's next? Do you have any, like, goals? Are you just taking this show by show? Do you have something you're aiming towards?
Right now, I am taking it show by show. I eventually am trying to take classes. Philadelphia has a burlesque academy that is very good, and I've been wanting to do classes there for a while. Building up my skills and doing classes. Eventually, I would like to be a traveling dancer. I would like to be doing a different city every weekend if I could. I would love to travel the world and the country, and if I could do that on account of taking my boobs out, I will. There's
Europe,
festivals all
Asia.
over the country. Yeah, I could go. I have friends on Facebook that, like, once a month go out to Vegas and do just one weekend of burlesque shows in Vegas. They make enough for the rest of the month. They're fine. And I'm like, that's amazing. But also, I just want to go to Vegas.
Yeah, that
So
sounds fun.
I would love to eventually travel, eventually do more shows. Right now I'm just with Bar XIII and the Dark Angels, but I would eventually like to start doing other shows in Philly and applying for other festivals. And eventually I would like to do burlesque shows around here and produce my own shows. There's nothing. I mean, the Borgata has their burlesque show every Thursday night in Atlantic City. They're more Vegas showgirls than they are classic burlesque dancers. They look like Rockettes. Every single one of them. Like I said, I'm 4'10". Their legs are as tall as me.
I had some friends who were part of that show.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
But at the core, that's not what burlesque is. At the core, burlesque has always been curvier and body positive.
For sure, yeah.
And there is a big hole where there is no burlesque like that, weird burlesque, or just a community in general in Atlantic City outside of that one show at the Borgata. So I eventually would like to produce my own shows around here, whether it's Atlantic City, Hamilton, somewhere closer to here.
Can you imagine
Because-
in Hamilton?
It's always been a dream of
There's theaters in Hamilton, and if they could do Rocky Horror and have a man in a thong up there, I can be in a thong too.
That's
all
where
I
I
gotta
saw
say.
the drag show was right there at the Eagle.
I wanted to get involved with burlesque for a very, very long time. I'm hoping that if we ever get this community arts center off the ground, that'll be like our Friday nights or something
I
like
would
that.
be happy to.
Yeah, because I'd love to get sort of that old school style of burlesque where there's a dance, there's a joke, there's a song, and get that whole sort of thing going.
Like a
there.
variety show almost.
Yeah, where there'll be like group numbers as well as like solo numbers and stuff.
That's what I like about Bar XIII is the Dark Angels shows. We usually have singers and group numbers, and we have some girls that get on the pole. We have some that do aerial. We have a good variety. And like I said, Fenris, who's his own separate producer, all of his shows are half comedians and half burlesque, and it does make me happy having like the silliness there too.
Sure.
Or doing the group numbers and doing the bigger productions. But yeah, I would absolutely love to start bringing burlesque closer to home so I can do it more than once every couple months and I don't have to go to Delaware all the time for
Right.
it.
Yeah.
That's the main goal. The main goal is to be able to do it closer to home, but also travel eventually.
Doing it regularly.
Yeah, regularly. I'm disabled. I can't have like an actual job. I have a really bad stomach disease.
Yeah.
And if I could make what I need to get by doing something I love. That's enough for me.
That's what it's all about. I love this interview. These two are like...
I love you guys. You guys are great.
Seriously, two of the coolest people. And you know what's great, too, is like... I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way, but a lot of idiots out there would see you guys on surface level and probably make some assumptions of who you guys are, but you guys are so, like...
Oh, we look
intelligent,
like
cool.
mean. We look like mean, horrible degenerates. I completely get it.
I don't even like Facebook. Like, I don't like going on there, but your boyfriend's posts about the summer douche and the...
Oh, my God.
It's the fun. It's my favorite part of Facebook.
Yeah, every day he comes home from work and I'm like, so tell me about your friends you made today. Because it's always something.
I still can't believe you haven't written a book about this stuff yet.
Right?
I swear.
Yeah. So, brother, anything else, Don Swenson?
No, I think that's been great. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you guys for
tonight.
having me. I'm
We'll
very
let you
happy to
guys
be
all
here.
know. We'll let everyone know the update of when Don and I witnessed the great and powerful Alexa. By the way, there's a machine out there that every time you say Alexa, it answers.
Those
Has that
things
affected?
ruin my life.
I was going to ask you, is it affected?
I mean, I had to quit working in restaurants because of my disease and my disability. But I'm gonna be honest, I was one hair away from quitting restaurants and just the workforce in general. Just because of that, I would walk up to a table, whether it was Olive Garden, Ruby Tuesday, Red Lobster, whatever. I'd walk up to a table. Hi guys, my name's Alexa. I'll be taking care of you tonight. These jackasses would lean into the table like they're leaning into that robot and be like, Alexa, can I get a Diet Coke? And I'd be like, not unless you're going to talk to me like a person. And I'd walk away and I'd give them a new server. I literally changed my name tag at the last restaurant I worked at to say Lex instead of Alexa. Because I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And if someone asks if what's Lex short for, nothing. My name is Lex Luthor. My dad was a big Superman fan and just named me Lex is going to be my answer from now on. I hate that thing.
Any guesses on what like maybe 30% of the people say to me when I say hi, my name is Sam?
Sam, I am.
Yup.
Do you like green eggs and ham?
Yup. Yeah.
Do you like reading?
Yeah, I'm a preschool teacher too, so it's just
Oh,
like,
God, yeah, being a preschool teacher, you really have to get it a lot.
yes, all the time. Thank you guys. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having me.
Don, we got plans for the future, brother.
All right, man.
All right. Thank you, people.
Thank you.